Picture this, an army so massive it was said to drink rivers dry, a force that seemed to stretch from horizon to horizon, its footsteps shaking the earth. Herodotus claimed millions marched under the Persian banner, and while that number is likely exaggerated, even a fraction of it was staggering for the ancient world. The Achaemenid Persian Empire fielded hundreds of thousands, an organized multi-ethnic force that redefined warfare and brought together people from every corner of the empire. Persian armies weren't just big, they were coordinated, combining infantry, cavalry, and archers in a true combined arms approach that was ahead of its time. This strategy let them sweep across 3 continents, from the Indus Valley to Greece, conquering vast territories and uniting diverse cultures under one rule. At the heart of it all were the Immortals, a legendary unit always kept at 10,000 strong, instantly replenished and feared across the ancient world for their discipline and skill. They served as the king's bodyguards and shock troops, their presence alone enough to shake enemy morale and inspire awe among allies. But Persian innovation went beyond elite soldiers, reaching into every aspect of military life and organization. They built roads that let armies move with unprecedented speed, connecting distant provinces and allowing for rapid deployment of troops and supplies. The Persians also perfected siege warfare with ramps, towers, and sappers, making them formidable opponents in any battle. Their intelligence network, the king's eyes and ears, kept the empire informed and secure, gathering information and rooting out threats before they could grow. This blend of brute force, clever tactics, and advanced logistics made the Persian military not just large but terrifyingly effective and nearly unstoppable. Their success was no accident, it was the result of meticulous planning, innovative thinking, and a revolutionary approach to war that set new standards for centuries. The Persian army was a machine, a marvel of its age, and the world had never seen anything quite like it before. The Persian army was a multicultural powerhouse, a force unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. It was in many ways a true ancient United Nations, but with swords, shields, and a whole lot of attitude. When the great king called, warriors from every corner of the empire answered, each bringing their own traditions and fighting spirit. Medes, Egyptians, Scythians, Babylonians, and countless others stood side by side, forming a living tapestry of cultures. Each group brought its own weapons, armor, and unique fighting style, creating a melting pot of military expertise and innovation. The Persians didn't force conformity, instead they harnessed these differences, assigning roles based on each culture's strengths. Phoenicians manned the navy, Lydians rode as heavy cavalry, Ethiopians wielded longbows, and others filled vital roles across the ranks. This diversity made the army flexible and adaptable, able to handle any terrain, climate, or enemy that stood in their way. To manage this vast force, the Persians used a clear chain of command and organized units by tens, hundreds, and thousands, ensuring discipline and order. Aramaic served as the common language, bridging communication gaps and allowing orders to flow smoothly across the ranks. By integrating conquered peoples, the Persians turned former enemies into allies, giving them a real stake in the empire's future. Military service offered status, wealth, and the promise of honor, fostering loyalty and unity among the ranks. This system didn't just win battles, it held the empire together, forging bonds between people who might otherwise have been rivals. The Persian army was more than a fighting force, it was the glue of a vast, diverse empire, uniting lands from Egypt to India. They built not just an army, but an empire that would leave its mark on history for centuries to come. The Immortals, 10,000 strong, always replenished, were the elite core of the Persian army, a force that struck fear into the hearts of their enemies wherever they marched. Recruited from Persian, Median, and Elamite nobility, these warriors served as both the king's personal guard and as battlefield shock troops, trusted with the most critical missions. Their relentless training made them the ultimate professionals in an age of part-time warriors, setting them apart from the average soldier of their time. Clad in embroidered tunics and scale armor, they carried spears, bows, and distinctive wicker shields, gear that was both practical and a mark of their elite status. Their golden gear and discipline projected the empire's wealth and power, dazzling allies and intimidating foes alike with their splendor. On the battlefield, their presence was psychological warfare. Enemies knew the king was serious when the Immortals appeared, and their arrival often signaled a turning point in the fight. Often held in reserve, they were unleashed at decisive moments to break enemy lines and secure victory, acting as the king's unstoppable hammer. The Immortals weren't just soldiers, they were a living symbol of Persian order, discipline and might, representing the very heart of the empire. Their reputation alone could sway the outcome of a battle, as stories of their prowess spread far and wide across the ancient world. They embodied the empire's unyielding will and endless resources, a reminder that Persia could always field more warriors, no matter the losses. To face the Immortals was to face the heart of Persian power, a force that seemed almost invincible to their adversaries. They were the ultimate problem solvers, the king's answer to any threat, ready to restore order wherever chaos threatened the empire. In the ancient world, no unit inspired more awe or more fear than the legendary Immortals of Persia. Persian military genius lay in tactical flexibility, especially their mastery of cavalry and archery. Persian nobles grew up riding and shooting, creating devastating horse archers who could strike and vanish. Their cavalry wasn't just for skirmishing. Heavy lancers could smash enemy formations after archers softened them up. This 1-2 punch overwhelmed many ancient armies. On foot, Persian archers formed massive lines behind shield-bearing spearmen, unleashing volleys that shredded enemies before close combat. Their Sparabara formations created mobile walls, maximizing ranged firepower and minimizing casualties. The Persians preferred to win at a distance, breaking foes before swords ever clashed. In siege warfare, they built ramps, dug tunnels, and rolled siege towers to breach city walls. Their engineers and sappers turned fortifications into vulnerabilities. Persian warfare was methodical, intelligent, and brutally effective. They didn't just rely on numbers, they used brains, mobility, and technology. This approach let them dominate battlefields and conquer cities across continents. The Persians were masters of the big brain play. Conquering a vast empire required more than muscle, it demanded logistics genius. The Royal Road, stretching over 1,600 miles, was the empire's superhighway, with posting stations for fresh horses and supplies. Armies, officials, and messengers could move at unprecedented speed, outpacing any rebellion or threat. The road network was policed and safe, ensuring steady supply lines for massive armies. The Persians knew an army marches on its stomach, and their supply chain was unmatched. Provinces or satrapies managed local troops and resources, making the system flexible and efficient. Before campaigns, the Persians stockpiled supplies, built bridges, and even dug canals to ease the army's path. Their planning was meticulous, no detail overlooked. While enemies scrambled for food, the Persians were always prepared. This obsession with logistics let them project power across continents. The Persian army moved like no other, fast, fed, and ready for anything. The Persians knew information was power, so they built a vast intelligence network, the king's eyes and ears. Trusted officials and undercover agents traveled the empire, reporting directly to the king. They monitored governors, sniffed out plots, and kept tabs on public mood and foreign threats. This network gave the king real-time insight into every corner of his realm. Before invasions, Persian spies gathered detailed reports on enemy strengths, politics, and geography. Intelligence shaped strategy, letting the Persians exploit weaknesses and prevent rebellion. The system also kept the empire stable, detecting unrest before it exploded. The king's eyes and ears were the glue that held the empire together. In the Persian world, knowledge was as deadly as any sword. For the average Persian soldier, life was tough. Long marches, simple rations, and strict discipline. Infantrymen wore practical tunics, trousers, and carried spears and bows. Daily routine meant marching, making camp, and relying on the army's supply train for survival. Discipline was enforced, but military service offered steady pay, food, and a chance for advancement. Many joined for a better life, hoping for rewards or land. Camaraderie grew among men from every corner of the empire, forging bonds in hardship. Occasionally, soldiers witnessed the spectacle of the great king and the Immortals, a reminder of the empire's might. They were cogs in a machine shaping history, and they knew it. In a world of walled cities, the Persians became masters of siegecraft. They started with diplomacy, offering surrender and generous terms. If refused, they unleashed engineering building ramps, rolling siege towers, and digging tunnels to breach walls. Workers built under fire, protected by mobile shelters and shields. Sappers mined beneath walls, burning supports to collapse fortifications and open breaches. Archers kept defenders pinned down while battering rams hammered gates. The psychological pressure was relentless. Defenders watched the siege ramp inch closer, morale crumbling. Persian sieges combined engineering, archery, and psychological warfare for maximum effect. Their methodical approach broke even the toughest cities. The Persians didn't just storm walls, they turned them into weaknesses. Their siege tactics were copied for centuries. In the ancient world, few could withstand a Persian siege. They were the ultimate city breakers. The Achaemenid Persian Empire fell to Alexander, but its military legacy lived on. Their innovations, combined arms, logistics, intelligence, and integration, became the blueprint for future empires. Alexander himself adopted Persian methods, from command structure to elite units. The Persian model showed how to manage vast, diverse armies and keep an empire united. Their roads, supply chains, and intelligence networks set new standards for military operations. Even today, echoes of their system remain in modern armies and logistics. The Persian military machine was more than a tool for conquest. It was the framework of empire. It gave people from dozens of cultures a role and a purpose. The Persians didn't just build an army, they built a model for empire.